Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair for accepting this invitation. This is a new program that we have called Glimmer of Hope, and Alhamdulillah, I think you are a very good person to be in this interview because, especially in this day and age where teenagers are always busy with the social media and what you have right with the bad influence. Um, and this is an opportunity, inshallah, for our viewers to see. Well, it is still cool to be a practicing Muslim, right? Now, I'm going to tell you this. Don't be embarrassed, right? Because now the first or one of the first times that we met, and I was quite moved when I saw you because you were at the verge of tears on the basis that you were saying something like, "Oh, I think I've disappointed Allah," or something in those lines, right? And I can still remember today, and that's why, subhanallah, I mean, these are the things in which you do not realize the impact that you make on other people, on that. So, and that sincerity, it cannot be faked. Do you know what I mean, right? So this is something in which, alhamdulillah, and that is why, for those of us who are not familiar with you, right? Even in this Ramadan, right? You and I, we stayed up until Ishraq and all this. You and even your brother, right? And then we changed text messages and all this. And then you took photographs. You're gonna take photograph every day, right? To see when is the Laylatul Qadar, whether the sun is going up fully or not, inshallah, right? Okay. So this is my introduction of you, right? So can you introduce yourself, right? Your name and your age, and where you're from.
So my name is Elmi. I'm 15 and I was born and I'm originally from Albania.
Right. So can you describe a little bit of yourself, how you were in Albania and how you are now in UK, the difference in terms of your own practice of Islam, at least?
Well, in Albania is actually, I would say, much easier because where I used to live it's not like busy area. It's more of a village, so it's basically less fitting around, less things that could make your iman drop. But when I came to UK, alhamdulillah, you have more chance to practice, like go to the mosque and listen to lectures and all of this. Whereas also you need to understand that there's much more chances of someone falling to haram. So, but still, alhamdulillah, this is much better than where I used to live.
Why do you think so that, I know you may not know this, but I just want to know your opinion. Why do you think so that it is people in Albania? I'm not talking about everybody, of course, right? Some people, quite a lot of people, are still not practicing well. And alhamdulillah, ironically, and we discussed before, right? Ironically, alhamdulillah, you're coming to this so-called kufar country, and then you become more practicing, right? So why do you think so?
I think it's more of
culture, perhaps.
Yeah, culture as well. But Albania has suffered like communism for maybe like 40 years, like this, a lot. And before they were really religious, right? So there's a communism thing not letting the religions. It gave Albania a big like gap through the religion, like, and it was only the old people who would talk about religion. So then now the new generation is more of like trying to all be like the West, trying to, yeah.
So it's cooler for the new generation to mimic the Western lifestyle and all this, right? Now, so at what stage in your life did you think that, okay, I think that I want to do something in my life in terms of my relationship with Allah, and what triggers it?
Well, if this question, I could do it in two parts, as I actually heard it because, well, if I was a Muslim, but just by name, like my whole family, right? Because my past ancestors were on my mom's side they were really like actually really religious. So I told her about the communism, and then family didn't actually practice Islam anymore. Like we still, we still maybe would talk about God or like this. That's it. And we wouldn't pray or, yeah, we just fast maybe like this. So, and around where I used to live in Albania, there used to be a lot of, if I can call them Muslim, not Muslim. They were like Shias and all of this. What they were doing, and I thought my family thought that was the right thing to do. Do all this dancing and all. Yeah, and since then, my mom started listening to some sheikhs online on YouTube, and started. She then put the hijab with my sister, and then that's how I reverted as well to alhamdulillah, just to the way of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu and not any sect or anything that would ruin my whole religion. So that was like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. I can't remember. But still, that I wouldn't call that a proper, way to go into Islam, because I was young and I didn't know much about life and other, I'll take it as a fun. So when I came to England, alhamdulillah, like 4 or 5 months ago, I started practicing myself. Like I just something happened to me. I just loved to learn about Islam more and more, and that's when I started praying, like, and really enjoying praying. Because a lot of youngsters, I think, they pray because their parents tell them it's more like a culture rather than spiritually. So yeah.
So
Alhamdulillah,
I think it is important, first of all, to have your family support, isn't it true, to practice Islam, right?
Yeah, it's really important. Yeah.
And also, as you said, right, that it is important, I think, for me personally, right, to understand what you're doing and to love what you're doing. It's not just a ritual aspect of Islam that, as you said, fasting and praying, right? Perhaps they do it, but they don't understand, right?
Yeah.
So when you start to understand Islam, right, as you are here, alhamdulillah, coming to the UK from Albania, right? How does Islam change your life?
SubhanAllah. Before I used to think like, oh, maybe if I start practicing, like I won't be able to do this, I won't be able to do that. I thought like Islam is the end of happiness. But actually, SubhanAllah, I started practicing myself proper, like from my understanding, it's like the happiest thing someone could ever do. And I think that's what Shaitan does to you, tries to scare you and says, oh, your happiness will go away and this and this. It's actually completely different. Like it's just I never said like that's the thing. I never said I'm gonna wait tomorrow or this. That's the problem with some people. They just keep pushing it, and yeah. And alhamdulillah, a big influence for me has been my friends. So I met, as you know, Dritan and Akram, but the viewers might not know. Alhamdulillah, they're practicing. And in my school, I don't have any practical friends, right? Like everyone is like more traditionally, or culturally rather than, for themselves. So I was just a basic Muslim, young Muslim. And when I met Dritan and Akram, like alhamdulillah, they have been a big inspiration for me. They were correcting me, oh, don't do this, like try not to listen to this. Alhamdulillah, try not to listen. And then we went to a mosque together. We used to go Speaker's Corner. I know you didn't like it, but
Yeah.
we used to go Speaker's Corner, and that's how I started slowly. It took me about 6 months to stay with them, and then after that, I came to the masjid and I met you, alhamdulillah, and then that's how it started, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And it is important to have a good companionship, isn't it true?
Really important, really, because if I can tell you my story, is that one of my stories is when I came to England, right? I was practicing because my mom or my parents would tell me, oh, this is haram and this is, and I had the concept of if I saw my friends doing something that's not with Islam etiquette, I would be like, oh, don't do that, or something like that. Then I thought my mom used to tell me, oh, don't stay with bad friends, or my dad used to tell me, don't stay with bad friends because they will affect you. And I was like, no, don't worry, I'm good. I'm not gonna follow what they do, like the bad things they do. And it came to a point then bad I used to tell them not to do, for example, or the haram things, I started to fit in. I'm like, oh, it's okay, you know, and I wouldn't understand it like, oh, I'm falling into, you know, haram, or I'm going to fall into a sin or something like that. So if you stay for long with bad companionship, you will not understand that you start to become like them, if you know what I mean. So that's the bad thing about it.
Okay, alhamdulillah. At least, alhamdulillah, my student written, as in, was the one who brought you to accept Allah, right? One day all of you came, and alhamdulillah, you brought your brother to the class and all this, and inshallah, you enjoyed our sessions, alhamdulillah. Now, so what advice would you give to those teenagers who are either wasting time or not understanding the purpose of life? What advice would you give them?
What I would give them is that never let your nafs or your desires make your way through life. Basically, just try and never let shaitan make you think like by starting to practice you lose happiness, because the happiness, like the kind of happiness you get in this world, just like, you know, by playing games, this just, for example, temporary, and then you realize, oh, what you've done, you're regretful. But the happiness when you, for example, you start praying, you start, you know, practicing Islam, alhamdulillah, is like a happiness that you can't describe. It basically is different, much different from any other happiness in this world, alhamdulillah.
Subhanallah.
So
Yes.
just don't go by desires or nafs, and yeah.
Right. And alhamdulillah, and this year we completed your Iqra lessons, alhamdulillah. How do you feel that you're able to recite the Quran? Alhamdulillah, I'm not praising you so much, but you know, you are reciting the Quran reasonably well, alhamdulillah. So how do you find reciting the Quran well for the first time? Have you done this before in the previous years, reciting the Quran?
No. So I used to read, for example, just like by letter, for example, just like that,
Yes.
no tajweed, no nothing. So just that, and it took me, like, for example, to read one page, 1 hour and a half, like this, and
Subhanallah.
it wasn't motivating like when you read slowly, because when you see the Quran like fully, like when someone sees it like 600 pages, it looks like, oh. So when you just read one by one page, it's not like that motivational, if you know what I mean. It doesn't push you to read more. But alhamdulillah, I learned, we finished Iqra, alhamdulillah,
Yes.
by Allah's help us, and
Alhamdulillah.
and now alhamdulillah, I read more fluently, and inspires you to read more and more, because you think that your recitation will be better, alhamdulillah, inshallah. So yeah.
Inshallah, inshallah. And alhamdulillah, and also you have been reciting, I mean, not just reciting the Quran, right? We always tell you to know the meaning, isn't it true? And that itself is very important, isn't it true? Right?
Yeah, Zula. For me, before, for example, I didn't know even Surah Fatiha or the meaning. So when people said, "Oh, have khushu in your salah," I thought just like to follow the Arabic, but actually you can't have khushu by reading it blindly, if you know what I mean. Because you need to, when you pray, you need to know what you're praying for, basically. So that's the whole point. And meanings of the surahs, of what you recite in the salah, you try to be like a massive improvement on your khushu.
Inshallah. Now, and of course, we know, or I know, that you have been also leading the prayer, isn't it true, in your Tarawih prayer at home, right? This is the first time that you're doing the Tarawih prayer, leading the prayer and all this, or you've done it?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Yeah, well, I've done it before, but there wasn't such case scenario like this year with the virus, so I don't remember any Tarawih I've done.
Yeah, because alhamdulillah, as I said before in our classes, right? Inshallah, this is our best Ramadan, because it pushes you and I to learn more about the Quran, isn't it true? To memorize the Quran so that you can lead the prayer at home, right? Do the adhan and all this, right? So, alhamdulillah, jazakallah khair. But just one last thing before we leave, right? Now, if I were to tell you this word, right, how would you describe it? Islam.
Islam. I would describe it as a religion, but as just a way of life. Religion is just what someone can make up and can call it a religion. So I just believe is the actual way of life. The one who created us, and yeah, that's how he wants us to be.
It's true, right? It is a way of life. It's not just going to the mosque. It is how we react every day to our parents, right? To our even our teachers in school, how we react 24 hours a day. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Right? So jazakallah khair for your participation, right? And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to guide you and your family members the right path. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to bless you in this month of Ramadan. Right? Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.